I always tell my clients that the value of a case is determined by three pillars or three prongs. The first is liability. How did the accident or injury happen? Who was at fault? What was the conduct of my client? What was the conduct of the other party? The second issue is damages. How badly was the individual hurt? Those two matters, liability and damages, stand to reason and won't surprise you. But a third part of the pillar or a third pillar may well surprise you, and that is, what is the personal story of the client? Now, that kind of information and that kind of feeling for a client can only be ascertained by knowing your client very well. And that comes about through meetings and really understanding the personal story, the background, the biography of a client. Because in serious injuries, so often the way a person responds to an accident and the limitations on work and things of that nature really go hand in hand with how the person approaches life. If my client is a hardworking individual and is unable because of negligence to work for the rest of his or her life, that's something that has to be conveyed. But it's not simply a case of saying my client can't work the rest of his or her life. You have to also establish how much pleasure and how much esteem the client drew from having a particular job. Now, what are the sources that we look to draw out this personal story? Certainly, frequent client contact is important in understanding who you're representing, but also you get a picture of a person by their family, by their friends, by their co-workers, and you can piece together in a general way, to be sure, how a person has lived their life, how they've approached their family, how they've approached their job. And all of those factors, I maintain, go a long way to getting your client full and fair compensation. They are ignored only at a lawyer and client's peril, because two injuries occurring perhaps in the same kind of way could yield very, very different results. And I submit that one of the reasons they can yield very, very different results, especially in the more serious or catastrophic injuries, I submit that the reason they can yield different results is because a client whose story is developed, whose injury becomes real and is manifested in certain vignettes, if you will, or in certain other ways, gets full compensation. And those who don't get full compensation, unfortunately, have not had their stories developed. Thank you.